Fantastic. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Thursday in the TEFL Development Hub. Today, I'm joined by another author, another ELT author. We've got Bruno Albuquerque joining us all the way from Sao Paulo in Brazil. Nice to have you with us, Bruno.
Thank you, Teresa, for the invitation. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here.
So, Bruno, you just self-published a book called
Yes.
Thus Spoke an English Teacher. And I know that in the foreword and in the disclaimer at the beginning, you kind of talk a little bit about your reasons for writing the book. But do you want to tell us a little bit about where the idea came from?
Yes. My wife is a huge fan of philosophy, and she's got a bunch of books on philosophy here at home. And I kind of got onto her bandwagon and started studying a little bit of philosophy too. So this book is I would say the product of this completely new field for me, which I was only familiar with the names of the philosophers and not really what their theory or their line of thought. And this book is a product of my studies in philosophy and my somewhat experienced career in ELT and how I managed to bring these two together. So philosophy has recently become a passion of mine and something that I find extremely challenging, and probably because of that, very interesting as well to read, and being able to connect these ideas and these structures of thought to what I do in ELT is um well, it's amazing. It's
Mhm.
um I love writing about it. So
Mhm. Mhm. Fantastic. So, I mean, you say that this was kind of, it was your wife's interest in philosophy that kind of
mm,
led you down this path. What made you think about combining these two, philosophy and ELT?
that's a good question. Um I really like my work, Teresa, as a teacher and teacher educator. And uh, I would say all of the CPD I've done so far in ELT has been for to satisfy my own interests with learning about ELT. And there was once this one time that I decided to take a post-graduation course here in Brazil that was somewhat connected to ELT, but I wanted to how can I put this? I wanted to abide by the market demands, which is here in Brazil, bilingualism is the newest trend, and then there are bilingual schools opening up everywhere around the country. And I started a post-graduation course on bilingualism, which is something that I don't love. Um, and I stopped because I was like, this is yes, it would probably lead to making more money by being in sync with the market demand, but definitely not something that was making me happy at the time. I kind of ended up losing money in this process, not making more money. uh, but um, as I was saying, philosophy is something that I find very interesting, and connecting something that I find interesting and I like with something I love sounded like the best combination for me. So I think that's why.
Fantastic. I mean, your dedication and your love of ELT really does shine through in the materials. And I
Oh,
love your kind of slightly sarcastic start
oh
with
yes.
some of the conversation starters. I think they're
Uh,
brilliant. I'm going to read a couple because
okay.
they're such a fantastic approach. So this is one of them for everyone who's watching at home. Teacher. Very difficult to define, but fundamental to do so. Is a teacher anyone who speaks the language and teaches classes, or is a teacher a person qualified and licensed to do so? I think that's one of the ones, with everything that's going on around native
Hmm.
speakerism and everything like that,
Hmm.
that it really is an important question to be
Hmm.
asking ourselves. And you go into that a lot more in the chapter around kind of defining your teacher identity, which I
Hmm.
think is really interesting as well.
Yeah. Here in Brazil, we have our Ministry of Education regulates regular schools, what we call regular schools, right? So primary, secondary schools, and high school and higher education. But English courses, they are not uh, regulated by the Ministry of Education. So what happens is that these language courses, they have the freedom to design their own curricula, their own syllabuses, choose their materials. Most of them, they produce their own materials, so they don't use Cambridge books or National Geographic learning books or Oxford books. They create their own materials, and it's a huge source of income for these companies. And because they are not regulated by the Ministry of Education, they don't have teachers hired by these schools don't have a minimum requirement to start working in these schools. So you don't need to go you don't need to get licensed to teach at a language institute here in Brazil. So I feel that yes, there's a lot of native. This definition is akin to, onto native speakerism for sure, but also at this very common discussion, especially here in Brazil. Uh, do teachers need to be licensed? Meaning, do they need a teaching degree? Or if you speak the language and you take a CELTA and a CPE, is that qualification enough for
Mhm,
you to be a teacher? And honestly, I don't know the answer to that. I think a degree is obviously a plus, but I'm not sure whether or not it's a requirement or
mhm,
should be a requirement.
mhm.
So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this issue around non-regulated education, it exists in most countries, like here in
mhm,
Spain as well. Language schools, they don't need any sort of government regulation or anything.
mhm,
So we have the same sort of thing. Interestingly, we had a teacher, a guy a few years ago who did a Cert TESOL with
mhm,
us. And then he went on to do a PGCE. And he actually said he learned more. A PGC is kind of a 1 year postgraduate
mhm,
certificate in education in the UK. And he said that he learned more on the 5 week Cert TESOL than he did on the
mhm.
year-long course. I think that kind of
Yeah,
intensity of being thrown in at the deep end.
yeah,
But yeah, I agree. I think we definitely need some sort of
mhm,
qualifications
mhm.
in order to do the best
Yeah,
by our students as
yeah,
well.
definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing that I love is how you kind of bring in pop culture references in the book. So
Uh,
you've got this whole chapter around Dora the Explorer
yes.
questions. Um, how- when you first started writing the book, how did the process happen? Did you kind of have all these thoughts, and then was it a case of kind of trimming down what you didn't want to put in, or did you start with a couple of ideas and then when you were doing one unit, one chapter, kind of something else came
Mhm.
in? What was the process like?
Um, some chapters they have a connection between one another. So there is a chapter that I talk about career choices and the cost that a certain job or a certain career opportunity might have on your personal life. And this chapter is connected to the next one that talks about, I think, giving instructions and giving clear and accurate instructions to students. They are kind of connected, but most of the chapters, they are standalone chapters. You don't need to read them in order, really. I just think it would be very weird to read the last chapter first, which is like a goodbye, see you in the next book. But whichever other chapter you decide to read is fine. This book is a collection of ideas. So I had some of the texts already written. Some of the chapters were already written in my computer, and some of them were in my blog. And I decided, okay, so I would like to put this together in a book to have. I like I know that most of and really most of the sales so far of the book have been digital copies, but I like having it, like in print is um and then I had these maybe four chapters that were already done, and I said, okay, so maybe I'll put these together and a couple more. I had been writing the conversation starters for some time. So whenever I could think of something snarky, I would just type it down on my and send it to myself on WhatsApp so that I didn't lose it. But the idea was really just compiling texts that I had um, a little bit disorganized here and there, and then just put them together in one uh, perhaps not very cohesive book because the chapters are independent, uh, but they all hint at this perception that maybe education is more than uh, teaching techniques, and with a very strong focus on teacher well-being and perhaps reflective teaching as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep. And I love as well how you've added in these reflective questions at
Mhm,
the end of each chapter as well. And talking about the teacher well-being, one of the ones that I wrote down that I absolutely loved was, does your work take up mental space when you're not working? Which I think when you're a teacher, especially working as a language teacher,
yes.
everything you watch, you kind of, or you go, oh, that would make a really good lesson. Or you
Mhm,
hear something and think, oh, I could bring that in. That would be an interesting text.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they were constantly working 24 hours a day, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I might steal some of your reflective questions and conversation
Oh, great.
starters for the Wednesday questions because I just think they're really genuine questions, like you say, to get teachers more
Mhm,
reflective on their practice, but very much
mhm,
thinking about their well-being. And similar to the chat that I had with Martin a couple of weeks ago, seeing it as a profession, as a career, like
mhm,
lifelong ELT, not
mhm.
just kind of your gap year adventure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so your wife was kind of the inspiration for the book, but also she was the editor. Is that right?
Yes, my wife is also an English teacher, and a very good one at it, by the way. And she would read and edit and proofread all of the chapters. So at first it started as can you help me with this? And it started way before the book actually. I started my blog because I felt that I wasn't writing enough.
Mhm.
So as an English teacher, we talk a lot in English, and especially as a non-native teacher, right? So I we talk a lot in English at home so that we can keep our language skills in check. And then we read a lot in English. We listen to I don't know movies, and we have conversations with our colleagues in English. But writing was definitely something that I wasn't doing enough, and it was clearly the weakest skill, my weakest skill. And then I started to I decided to open a blog. I thought about starting a journal, but the idea of writing something that no one would read sounded like a waste. And I said, okay, so I can write posts on LinkedIn and Instagram, or I can have a blog. And then having a blog is not very expensive. I think it's 100 reais a year, which is $20 a year, I think. Um, and then she was my editor back when I was writing the blog posts. So she just helped me develop my reading, my writing, and when I started writing for the book, it just seemed natural to include her in this process of editing and proofreading as well. So the book is not only something that I want teachers out there to have access to, because I think many of the insights, especially connected to reflective teaching and teacher well-being, are very relevant. I think the book is kind of funny at some points, especially with the conversation starters, but the book also served as a means of skills development for
Mm-hmm.
me. So I definitely feel that the later chapters in the book are the better ones in comparison with the first chapters. So yeah, I think it's a win-win. It's something out there for the community, and it's definitely something for me
Mm-hmm.
with this writing improvement. And I've been having a lot of fun writing recently, so something that I never thought was possible.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Cool. And
it
you
is.
talk about the benefit of writing for other people, knowing that it's out there and people are going to read it. Did
Mhm.
you have a target audience in mind? I mean, other than just English teachers, were you thinking of early career teachers or more experienced people?
Hmm. Maybe not in the sense of early novice teachers or experienced teachers, but teachers who want to go a bit deeper into the profession and not. I took the Delta in 2018, and then I finished Delta Module 3 last year. And I feel that especially these certifications and diplomas, they are very much focused on classroom techniques and what to do in the class. And then Delta goes a bit deeper into why we do what we do in class. But I feel that the book is targeted towards teachers who want a little bit more um want to be a little more aware and a little bit more lucid when it comes to the decisions that we make in class, because we make lots of decisions in class. I was talking to a student of mine who's also a teacher. She's a pedagogue in a bilingual school here in Brasilia, in São Paulo, and we were talking about Bloom's taxonomy, and she said, Bruno, have you noticed that us teachers, we spend our whole day in higher order thinking skills? And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, we're always analyzing, evaluating, and creating the whole day. So
Hmm.
this is probably why being the teacher is so incredibly stressful, because you're always on higher order thinking skills with very heavy and energy demanding cognitive skills 24 hours a day. And I was like, wow, that's so true, right? Um and I feel that the book is for this kind of teachers who are very inquisitive and who want to go a bit beyond the techniques in class, um and maybe I can spread this newfound love for philosophy as well, because there are some hints here and there on philosophy.
Hmm.
Some chapters are written in as a dialogue, right? Which is the kind of text that Plato would write about Socrates. So maybe spread the love as well.
Hmm. Fantastic. Excellent. And how did you find the process of self-publishing? Was it relatively easy to kind of go from ideas to production to
Mhm.
selling?
Um, uh, it was easy because I had support. Um, do you know, I have a friend who's also a teacher and a self-published author of several books now, Luis
I
Otávio
know the
Barros.
name. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's a very close friend of mine, and he helped me throughout the whole process. So it's not self-publishing because I had a lot of help from him. My wife was my editor and proofreader. So I wouldn't say this was self-published. I had a team uh,
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
to support in this process. But onto the technicalities of self-publishing. Self-publishing in Amazon is pretty straightforward. Um, you you just need to edit, proofread your text, and go onto canva.com and make like a cover for the book. And you don't even need the complete cover. You just
Hmm.
need the front cover for it. And that's pretty easy to do. Like Canva, that there are lots of models um for covers there that you can find and edit. They're free to use. Getting ISBN is also relatively easy, at least here in Brazil, for a very small fee. I think it was something like $4 to get the book registered as a book. On the other hand, to get the paperback book, that's a bit more complicated because the process of getting the book in the right margins
Hmm.
and um, letter size and spacing. There are lots of tutorials online that you can look and find that the spacing should be 1.5 and the letter should be 12 to 13 in size. Um, but definitely the hardest part of this process is making the full cover because what you see on Amazon is this,
Hmm.
right? Uh, the paperback is this.
Wow.
So this is the cover, right? And then you have to design all of this on Canva, and then you have the right measurements for the I have no idea what you call this in Portuguese. In English we call these orelha do livro. What do we call the flaps? These
It- yeah, I don't
do
know.
is there a name
In
for that in English?
in a
Yeah,
flap, well, let's
this.
call it a flap.
Yeah. Okay. So there are the right measurements for the flap. There is the measurement for this area that has to be um in sync with how many pages you have in the book. So this is a bit more challenging to do. And then I did it through a company here in Brazil. It's called UiClap, is UI Clap, and they have lots of tutorials, but it's pretty much a do-it-yourself kind of thing. So you
Hmm.
have to design it on Canva, watch the tutorial, design it on Canva, and then upload to the platform, see if it works, and then adjust. And they sell you the books for a much cheaper price than they sell to other buyers. So if you get this book on Oiklapi, the paperback, it's 50 reais, which is $10. And for me, they sell it for $5, right? So I can buy the book for half the price. And they offer you an even bigger discount for the test copy. So you design everything and then you buy the test copy. And
Hmm.
then when it gets to your house, and they don't do any kind of editorial work on your book. So
Yes.
what you upload is what they're going to print, right? So you can see, especially what I saw was that, for instance, these letters here were way too big, in my opinion. And then uh, I edited, and now it looks much
Ah.
better now. Also the picture was too big, and then it kind of got like pixelated, and then I changed the size of the picture. So getting the test copy before you actually sell it to other people is fundamental.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, it sounds like you've learned a lot about
Oh yes.
publishing through the experience as well. Was there anything, either within the publishing or the writing process, was there anything that you found frustrating?
Frustrating. Hmm. Um, I think the selling of the book is it's definitely something that I don't know how to do and that I don't like doing, Teresa, really. I've had a conversation with a couple of friends, and um who are also colleagues, who are also teachers, and they keep telling me, "Oh, Bruno, so you have to record at least one story a day and three reels a week, and you got to make sure you post them both on Facebook and Instagram because there are many teachers on Facebook, and then do this and do that to sell the book." And um, I really don't want to do that because writing the book has been an incredible journey, something that I've always wanted to do. I feel this is a very cliche bucket list item, right? To, oh, I want to write a book. But the thing is, I'm incredibly happy with having published the book. Um, my mom cried when she saw the book.
Oh,
Um, um, my wife was very happy. My friends were also very happy, and they got a copy and they commented and they criticized many of the passages in the book. They said, "Bruno, how come you say something like this?" And I was like, "But that's what I feel. That's what I believe in." And this has all been again an incredible journey. It's been amazing, and I feel the book has a lot of values for a lot of value for teachers out there. But I feel that if I focus on the selling of the book, which by the way I haven't been able um, to get any money from the book so far because I'm having a lot of trouble connecting my Brazilian bank account to Amazon. So for
hmm.
some reason they cannot transfer me the money. So I will find out in the future how to do that. I think my bank account is to um it's from a digital bank, and then maybe it doesn't work very well. So I'm thinking about changing to Banco do Brasil, which is the big Brazilian bank here. But the thing is, I I don't want to turn this into work.
Hmm.
You know, I want this to be something happy and beautiful that I produced and that I feel has lots of value for teachers out there. And I hope they find it valuable as well. But I'm not an Instagrammer teacher. It's very hard for me to post a story a day and three reels a week. So if you're watching this, this is probably the only advertising you're seeing of this book. Um, but yeah, I think that's the most frustrating part. It's people pushing you to turn this into work.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it definitely sounds like it was a passion project. It was something that,
Mhm.
you wanted to do, and it wasn't originally about making money. It was
Mhm.
about having all these fantastic ideas and putting them down on paper for other people to read, which I think is just great. I think it really is a fabulous resource for people, for teachers to delve into. And like you say, you don't have to read the whole book. You can pick it up and go, oh, I like the sound of that chapter. Let's see
Mhm.
what Bruno has to say about that.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Bruno. And I'll share the links to whichever site you recommend for people to buy the book. And
Mhm.
I'll share a link as well to your blog so that people can read some of your other ideas as well. And yep, good luck with not marketing the book, but selling the
Thank you.
book.
That is thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you for the chat. It's been great. Yeah.
Mhm.
Happy
Well,
moment.
everyone, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be back again in a couple of weeks. Possibly still on Facebook, possibly not, because Facebook is changing things, but we'll keep you informed. So thanks again, Bruno, and everyone have a fabulous afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.